The Chinese way, wants to sort of plan it out perfectly, which is not always possible with innovative new technologies. From the investment point of view, really any involvement from a government actor causes concern. The cultural difference is perhaps attitude to risks. In order to build a global business, you want to have global investors, and China is very important to us.
Welcome JoJo's Cross Border. So today we interview Tom Whitby, so the general partner at Tradeworks.VC from Singapore and the UK. So let's listen to his story, what his challenge and insights when he invested in China. Okay, welcome Tom Whitby. Thank you so much for JoJo's Cross Border today. It's an honor for us to have you to talk about, as a VC investor, your business in China and the UK and Singapore. Please introduce yourself for us, please.
Well, thank you, JoJo. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Tom Whitby. I'm a general partner at Tradeworks.VC, which is a Singapore-based venture capital investor, investing principally in digital B2B trade enablers. But we also have investments in a couple of maritime hardware investments, including one business that is currently doing business in China.
Oh, so what's the business for China? Can you explain all to us, please?
Yes, so this is a company called Advanced Wing Systems, which supplies smart, modular, containerized wind assistance solutions for commercial vessels, saving up to 30% of the fuel.
How does that work, saving up the 30% of fuel by what system, by wind system?
Correct. So this is not a sailing system, it's a motor sailing system, so it's using the power of the wind to provide thrust to the vessel. And assisting it as it voyages through the water. Wind has been the sort of constant energy source. It's free, unlimited, and delivered at the point of use.
Okay, so this is a new technology invented by one of your companies, or?
Yeah, so in many ways, wind is the original technology, of course, and it was displaced temporarily by the introduction of diesel motors, internal combustion engines. But actually, as the price of fuel and carbon emissions have gone up, there has been a real push to move towards wind assistance in order to reduce those costs.
For the shipping industry?
Correct, which is a very, very interesting industry.
Yes.
Because you have the ship owners who are many times removed from the charterers who pay for the fuel bill. So aligning those split incentives in the industry is a key challenge. So the ship owner, because he doesn't benefit from the fuel savings, isn't motivated to make a large capital investment in order to make his vessel more fuel efficient. So our technology aligns those split incentives. It's minimum capital investment for the ship owner and a cash flow positive return for the charterer really from day one.
Wow, okay, that's amazing. So then how is your business model in China then?
So we will be using Chinese partners in order to manufacture these modular containers. So again, another significant advantage of our technology is that everything fits into a 40-foot standard shipping container. So it can be produced anywhere, shipped via any normal intermodal means of transport, and then delivered to the vessel in whatever port it may be in.
Okay, so and then do you have a local Chinese partner factory to work with you, or you're acquiring more?
No, so we are currently in partnership with one shipyard, and we are in discussions with two further shipyards. So the idea is that we will construct the prototype at one of these shipyards and then make a decision on where we scale production.
Okay, so but what the percentage are you going to do a scale production in China?
Well, China sits very strategically, both as a source of a large amount of global trade, but we could have both manufacturing and service centers located in China, and in the end goal, we would anticipate that it would be at least 25 to 30% of the business. Initially, probably far more, and actually a large part of the reason for that is that China constructs a significant percentage of the world's new build fleet, and also services, and dry docks, majority of sort of retrofits and general shipyard services
the
for the existing
production,
fleet.
the supplies, the chemicals, all
Yeah.
there.
So it's impossible to do a maritime hardware investment without involving Chinese manufacturing capability, I would say, and certainly not at scale.
Okay. What is your challenge? When you your eyes is go for, okay, work with Chinese companies and productions there? Yeah.
So there's a couple of challenges. I mean, first of all, there are some just significant advantages, not only in cost, but in quality of output. The challenges are sort of distinct. The first, perhaps, is that there is a tendency for Chinese companies to want to own some of the intellectual property of their partners' companies, or to have access to it. And I would say that the old lazy stereotypes that
What is that?
yeah, that America innovates,
Yeah.
Europe regulates, and China imitates. That is lazy and outdated. China is
Okay, we need to say outdated.
I completely agree. China is now, really creating valuable and innovative IP, but it does, in our experience at least, need to learn how to work with small companies that come with highly valuable IP and find a way to work together that rewards the contributions of both parties, but crucially protects that foundation intellectual property.
Okay, so that's the challenge one. So that means both sides want to own the IP, right?
Of course. And part of that, perhaps, is that in Europe or America, for example, it would be very normal that a manufacturing partner would invest in the underlying technology company in order to ensure a long-term partnership. As I understand, it's very difficult for Chinese companies where the line between private and public sector is perhaps slightly more blurred, to take a simple equity stake. So they want to ensure their upside by a combination of maybe exclusive manufacturing licenses or service agreements. And it can be difficult to limit the options of the underlying technology company by agreeing to that in advance.
Okay. Can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by blur the ownership? Just explain a little bit more your concerns here.
As I understand it, Chinese provinces or state or local government as such select their industrial champions, and they have a interest and involvement and maybe to a certain degree a level of control. But then also from the investment point of view, really any involvement from a government actor causes concern. I mean, governments have different priorities than private business, and ensuring that those remain aligned and that there will always be the space for private business to flourish is a key concern as an investor.
Okay, so what is the main concerns? Is a regulation, or the pace of work, or the IP concern, or the get the investment out? What is your key concern when the government's involved?
Well, perhaps it does add it adds time to decision making, perhaps. So if a factory needs to invest in some tooling in order to scale up their manufacturing to meet our demands, if that has to be signed off by a government committee, potentially adds some time frame to that.
Yeah.
And then I would say that whilst the output of Chinese manufacturing is very, very high quality, there is a need for the entire plan to sort of be delivered right at the beginning that the Chinese partners can work off, whereas in America there is more of a willingness to start with with some uncertainty. So we make a prototype, it might not be entirely perfect, so let's make another one sort of quickly. Whereas the Chinese way, wants to sort of plan it out perfectly, which is not always possible with innovative new technologies.
Okay, yeah. I guess this is a little bit cultural, a consumption difference, right? So we can here, we can just set up our ideas, our goal. Let's do it, right? But what you're saying, that's the Chinese way. We print it in details, and then we go by step. Is that what
I think maybe the cultural difference is perhaps attitude to risk. So in the West, the risk is sort of not doing it, and I mean. The risk is that we don't do it quickly enough, and whereas in China, perhaps the risk is there's a fear of getting it wrong first time. Chinese companies shouldn't be afraid of getting something wrong first time, because we know that the second and third and fourth time it's a learning process, and we iterate to the right solution.
Have you heard about China's speed?
No.
Okay, China's speed is very popular for Chinese corporations. So basically, because of population, because they're renovated, because the way we want to proceed the business is quite opposite to than what you say. China's speed, we try to make everything happen overnight.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
so
Okay.
that's good
Okay.
to look
Okay.
to cross our message and have a look at that. But I do get to what you're saying that once the government body are involved with the big projects, that they take a longer time to get the science, the red tapes, and also the investments strategically taking more reviews by a certain part of the people,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
I would certainly say that I've experienced the upside of China Speed when it comes to the sort of desire to work together.
Yeah.
So, with European companies, there can be a process to go to sort of feel out whether you want to get involved with a joint venture, whereas Chinese partners have so far been very positive and very quick in terms of saying yes, we want to do this, we want to manufacture it now.
Yeah.
But then that process to sort of starting the manufacturing on those maybe incomplete plans has been the challenge.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the preliminary stage is China's piece. We want to do that now.
Exactly.
Oh, the process is slowed
Yeah,
down
yeah.
because like a virus, IP or decisions or cultures, risk management, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's
Interesting.
fair, yeah.
Yeah. So what is your view compared to like you're working with the Singapore government a lot, right? So can you share a little bit about your experience with Singapore then?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the Singapore government is very entrepreneurial. They empower their civil servants. They pay them very, very well, and they give them, a free access to quite significant budgets in some cases. So, it devolves decision making down to the appropriate level.
So autonomy, so that's the issue, right? That's different from.
Yeah, so I would say that Singapore, Singapore government employees are not afraid to make a decision and have the ability to resource it. So, for example, Advanced Wing Systems has been accepted into the Singapore Smart Maritime grant program, the High Performance Computing Center. So that is going to be a very exciting opportunity to work together and create really valuable IP, both on a joint basis, but also ensuring that Advanced Wing Systems core IP is unaffected, and then to look at how we can commercialize that together, for example.
What do you want to get it out like from the Chinese investor by looking at this video?
That's a very good question. I mean, this ultimately Advanced Wing Systems is already a global business, and it will be a very significant global business. Just to give an idea of scale, if we are installed on board 300 vessels, that is going to be $200 million annual recurring revenue. We already have line of sight to the best part of 50 vessels following this prototype sea trial. All the feedback we have had from the market is that that figure for the demand is very conservative. So within 5 years, we far more likely to expect 500, 600, 700 ships. So in order to build a global business, it's you want to have global investors, and China is very important to us. So to have a Chinese strategic investor who understands how that market works would be very valuable to the company.
Okay, yeah. So you're looking for the Chinese investors for this technology?
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, and then so you also open for the co-ownership of the IP, right?
So that would be a financial investor. So we would welcome a Chinese investor to invest directly into Advanced Wing Systems and take a direct equity ownership. One of the challenges has been our manufacturing partners aren't able to do that. So if we were to set up a JV there, they would want to ensure their upside through exclusive manufacturing licenses because they cannot, or as I understand it, they cannot take a direct equity stake in a Western company. Maybe the compliance issues are too significant. If there was a Chinese financial investor who saw the opportunity, they would be able to take that simple equity stake, and then we really are talking about growing an enormous pie for all of us to share in, rather than trying to slice up the pie before it's fully been baked.
Yeah, that's really makes sense. Yeah, can I also just talk a little bit about the government role? Okay, there's a lots of foreign investment. They're scared of a government body involved. Okay, because of this like a stereotype, the red tapes and also like procedures and
Correct.
I mean not directly communication, but I mean as a Chinese culture expertise, and in order to build the scales in China, so it's better to have a government's and states-owned company involved, because that is going to be fully like a investment point of view, security point of view, public point of view. So are you open for the idea that if it's one of the state-owned company, like they interested in this technology and then all investments and then
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, shipyards and shipping technology are high priority investments for all governments. The Middle East have provided very good examples about how a cooperation between government and private enterprise can work. The most important thing is that there is an element of capital and freedom supplied by the government in the early stages before those sort of strategic interests start to sort of dictate, shall we say, the development of the technology. So.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much, Tom, for coming today and share with us your excited investments and then high technology with us. And I'm sure that's like we can getting a lot of all the interesting your investments and then your project as well.
Thank you very much indeed for having me, and I look forward to talking again.